Thank my friend Mr. Atul Kare, United Nations Under-Secretary General for Operational Support, for making this commemorative stamp possible. Thank you again, Tariq, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tedros, for these opening remarks on this very remarkable anniversary day. I forgot to introduce speakers today, but I think you know them already. It's Dr. Mike Ryan, Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove, and we have Mr. Steve Solomon, who is WHO Principal Legal Officer. We would also like to thank interpreters who are with us today, helping that journalists can ask questions in their language. So we will start with questions now. Please be short, concise, one question per person. And we will start with Deutsche Welle, and we have George. George, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes.
May I ask, French scientists have found that cigarette smokers are less likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19. What do you make of these findings?
Thank you very much, George, for this question.
Thank you very much for the question. So we know the harms of tobacco are well known, and we know that millions of people die every year from the use of tobacco. COVID-19 is a respiratory illness, and smoking causes damage to the lungs. And there are a number of studies out there that have been published that have found that smoking leads to more severe disease, the development of severe disease, and puts people at higher risk for being put on a ventilator, being in ICU, and for dying. There are some studies, there are some media reports of some studies, 2 studies in particular, that have not been peer-reviewed, that have looked at the prevalence of smoking in people who've been hospitalized and not. These studies did not evaluate, they were not designed to evaluate whether smoking was protective or not, or in any shape or form. And they do not say that smoking is protective. We do know, I will repeat, that we know the harms of smoking, and we know that smokers, if they do get infected with COVID-19, have a higher risk of severe disease and death.
Thank you very much, Dr. Van Kerkhove. Next question comes from Guatemala, Diario de la Hora, and we have Grecia on phone. Grecia, if you could just unmute yourself. Hello?
Sí, buenos días.
Hello, good afternoon. My question is, what has been seen regarding the consequences of regenerating economies and the contagion in the countries who have opened up their economies again? Thank you.
You want to repeat? Gracia, can you just please repeat the question, because we are not sure we understood it.
Yes, of course. Thank you. My question was about what has been seen in countries that have reopened their economies, and how has the epidemic responded to that?
Thank you very much. I think we understood it now.
I can start, and perhaps Mike would like to supplement. So we're just beginning to see now a number of countries that are opening up their economies after having shown that they are able to suppress transmission. The countries that are further along in this are countries across Asia. And we do see that countries like China, Japan, Korea, Singapore have lifted some of these public health and social measures in a slow and a controlled way. In some countries, they have seen a resurgence in cases, meaning that they've seen some outbreaks. And in Japan and in Singapore, for example, they've seen outbreaks that are taking place in certain situations. Singapore right now is dealing with outbreaks in expat dormitories and dormitories where people live in close proximity to one another. And they just shared a presentation with us earlier today demonstrating how they are going into exquisite detail in terms of trying to find all of those cases and suppress transmission even in these close